You open this door with the key of reason. Beyond it is another dimension, a dimension of truth, a dimension of freedom, a dimension of joy. You're moving into the land of both the ideal and the real, of the possible and the actual. You've just crossed over into the capitalist corner.
Where reason meets reality, welcome to the capitalist corner.
That's right, folks. Where reason meets reality, welcome to the capitalist corner. I am your host, Mark Pellegrino, and also the chairman of the American Capitalist Party, along with two co-hosts today. One, my usual guy, my wingman, Michael Liebowitz, who is also the vice chairman of the American Capitalist Party, who has his own show, The Rational Egoist, which we'll talk about in a second, because I first have to introduce our next guest, the great James Valliant. Thank you for coming on today, James. I don't know exactly how this show is going to go today. We have so much news to cover, but it presence.
Glad to be here.
And somehow we just all went offline, I think.
No, I think it was just you. Was it just him, Jim?
I think it was just a momentary little glitch.
It was a momentary lapse. That's it.
Yeah.
Was it me? Was it me? Was it me? All right. I'm in Canada. I'm in Toronto.
Don't blame the Canadians.
Possible with the internet.
Don't blame the Canadians.
Always blame.
It's not far above a third world nation here. I'm just
From the
saying.
San Francisco bathhouses to the
Michael,
northern
what's going on
tundra.
the Rational
Did you catch it, Mark?
From the San Francisco bathhouse to the northern tundra.
Yeah.
What's
okay.
that?
No, you got problems. But here's the thing. On the Rational Egoist right now, we have episode 2 of Jim and my series on the application of OPAR to self-improvement. This week we did sense, perception, and volition. It's a big, big must to be watching this series. We're starting a Michael's Mustache Fund. Jim, by the way, you've been roped into the we're all going to go topless. You, me, Mark, and maybe Subby. We're going to make a calendar. It's not going to be as good as the aforementioned Marissa Tomei being topless.
I think we'll have that same kind of appeal. No,
but we're going to do great. But yeah, that's it out there right now is that episode. Also, starting maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be doing a show called Everyday Ethics, where I apply rational egoism to the everyday problems that people have. I'm looking forward to your questions. It's going to be kind of like a Dear Abby kind of show. Dear Michael.
Well, and let's not forget, on Saturdays we also have Self-Made Soul every Saturday, usually around 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time.
We're pumping out the content.
Any of you who are looking,
and can I
that's right. So for any of you who are looking,
I've just signed up
Go
for
ahead.
your Patreon, Mr. Pellegrino, and boy, was that a smart move on my part. That stuff is really good. You guys are off to an awesome start with that. My God, moving, powerful, important stuff.
Yeah.
So I urge everyone.
Did you see this last week's episode and what occurred?
Yes.
Did you see what happened? So we've got all pretty women in the audience and one guy. Mark takes credit for all the pretty women and gives me the credit for the one guy in the audience.
Well, isn't that the way it probably pans out, Mr.
I don't know, man. Not with that mustache.
first of all, I took no such credit for all the women in the audience. I just said the supernatural fandom happens to be 90% women.
And that wasn't you taking credit, not at all. No.
It's not me. That's actually Sam and Dean. It's actually the Winchesters taking credit. I just happen to be riding along. So, look, I have no microphone, so you guys could easily overpower me. I'm on sketchy internet here because I think I'm borrowing my neighbor's internet, not my own internet. I'm linked to my phone. There's all kinds of technical issues going on here in Canada, so anything is possible, folks. So at any point, you might have to take the rudder of the ships, my friend. But the first story, I wanted to talk about a story, not the first story that you actually submitted to
all right.
me. But
before you do that, have you actually consulted the title of the episode?
Of course, I have not consulted the title of the episode.
Okay, so
when do I have time to consult the title of the episode?
Okay, so we've got Halting Asylums, Discouraging Hemp,
That's
Political
exactly the
Volatility,
first
and
one.
more.
Okay, that's exactly the first one was the one I was going to go with. So intuitively, I understood how important it was, and that it was probably in the thumbnail. So what can I say? So, oh Lord, here we go again.
No, it's just you. You're frozen. We're fine. Jim, are you good?
I'm good.
Yeah, it's just Mark with his frozen mustache.
I'm fantastic, as you all know. So
Yeah.
Am I frozen still?
It's just
No,
Am I
but I
frozen
find
still?
it so disheartening that the movie star is the guy who doesn't have good Wi-Fi. Meanwhile, the hippie philosophy
Again, it's not.
are perfect.
So, Michael, in case I keep going in and out, why don't you or James take the lead on this, and I'll just join in.
On which one?
The one we're going to do the U.S. Halts Asylum decisions after the shooting of the
Oh,
National
okay.
Guard members.
I'll
I think that's
start
very
off
important
with this
because
Yeah.
it's about collective punishment. Go ahead.
It's not only, it is about collective punishment, but it's also about the tendency of government that conservatives used to seem to understand, that you don't make policy based on one-offs, that it's not an effective thing to do. So because we have this Afghan guy who, shot the 2 National Guards people, real tragedy, of course, this guy should spend the rest of his life in a box somewhere, no doubt about it. But that doesn't mean that you now freeze all asylums so you somehow can do better vetting. Sometimes in life, you just can't account for every variable. I mean, if you try to, for God's sakes, males commit the overwhelming amount of crimes. So we should, especially young males. So maybe they should pass laws banning young males from coming out into society until our testosterone is properly depleted and we can handle ourselves. It's just dumb stuff. What say you, Mr. JSV?
whoa, sorry.
What in the blue hell?
It's the critters, and they just went crazy for some reason. So forgive the barking sound, but my answer was going to be fundamentally the same as the barking sound. I could have made the equivalent, because you're exactly right. We have tens of thousands of Afghans who helped us during this war that we ought not to have fought the way we did, ought not to have been there for 20 years. Okay, forget the war itself and the, how we did it and, so forth. Nonetheless, tens of thousands of Afghanistanis risked their lives to work with the CIA, and this guy was one of them, risked their lives. So does the United States owe something to these people who risked their lives in a country ruled by the Taliban to help the U.S.? And so tens of thousands of them are brought over. Now, they're going to say Biden didn't vet these people properly. That's the thing. I don't know that. Could this guy have developed his psychological issues once he came here? Could he have been radicalized, even if it is an intentional thing, once he came here? Yeah, but you're absolutely right. Using one example here is ridiculous, because we have tens of thousands. If it was just one, say it was 100 and just one guy did it, that's 1%. Let's say it's 1,000. That's 1/10 of 1%. We have tens of thousands. We're talking about a teeny little fraction. One guy, and now all asylum, if you've got an Afghan passport, that's it. No more asylum petitions until further notice. Talk about taking it out on the wrong people. My God, and in an indiscriminate, unjust way. So, yeah, my answer is pretty much my dog's bark.
All right, Mark, can you try to give an
James,
answer?
I have to say there's about 79,000 of these poor souls who are in the United States, and about 100,000 are applying for these special kinds of asylum visas. All of these people, the majority of those 79,000 that are in the States, have been vetted multiple times. This particular guy was in a CIA-operated unit called Unit Zeros, he was operating with them from 2012. All right. Now, this guy has been vetted every year since 2012 by multiple agencies. And then when he came over into the United States, re-vetted again, okay, for his asylum, which was approved under Trump. All right. So it's like this guy, I think what happened, he got caught in the vortex. We don't know the particulars. I don't think there was radicalization. His mosque totally condemns the action.
All right.
It doesn't seem to be one of those mosques that preaches radical Islamist ideology. He seems to have been caught in a vortex where his work visa expired. He was not legally enabled to work. He had 5 children to support. He was probably in a crucible of fucked because the United States government would not let him earn a living as a man, and he probably went off the rails. Now, that's what I am assuming. Add to that the PTSD that this... here, I probably froze again, didn't I?
You're okay. Again? You're good.
Did
okay. No, you're good. You just we're getting some interesting face freezes that are cool. Now you froze.
And of course, all right. You say that.
So Mark froze. Maybe.
My Lord. No, wait. I'm back. I just want to finish my point. Add to that the fact that this guy probably experienced PTSD because these 0 units were going about and doing some pretty crazy shit. And you got a recipe for disaster. So, I mean, condemning a whole population of people because of one guy that went off the rails for probably a very understandable, under very understandable circumstances is bullshit. So once again, Trump is pulling collective punishment and pulling the power lever when he shouldn't.
The CIA used him. Now, you'd think that when being used in Afghanistan is where the vetting started, right? Can we trust this guy? Can we use this guy? And so it seems to me there was some kind of vetting even back on the other side of the globe. You know, I'm friendly with a number of Afghan refugees, and one in particular who comes to the Objectivist meetup group here in San Diego, a guy named Saeed, and he helped the U.S. Army in Afghanistan. And the Afghan community here in San Diego, which this guy apparently has connections to somehow, every single one of them that I have had contact with are not a threat to the United States, from what I can tell. My buddy Saeed is interested in Ayn Rand. He comes to the Ayn Rand meetup group. He's not likely to become a radicalized terrorist or some psychotic shooter. It would be terrible to paint in broad strokes here against this entire community, which, frankly, you know, how is it I can't understand the government's priorities when it comes to these things. Those people to whom the government does owe a debt, say our veterans, or say people like Afghans who cooperated with us abroad, those people get overlooked completely. Those people get stomped on. But if you're needy and you're even at fault to some degree in the creating of your own need, no, suddenly you're the important special victim, ... And the ones that America really owes some debt to, they get ignored. I don't get it.
Welcome to Altruism 101, my friend. Deeper with Diego says, when I was overseas, the interpreters were typically exhibiting the most pro-American attitudes I've seen. Yes. These guys had balls of brass, James. I mean, they were in their home country fighting against the Taliban. They risked everything. They risked their own livelihoods, their families' lives to fight against tyranny and authoritarianism over there. Those people do deserve to come over here and live a better life. They shouldn't be trapped in situations where the federal government doesn't give them permission to fucking work. I hate that whole idea that you need a work permit. You need permission from some bureaucrat to carry on with your life, to produce something of value in your life. That's terrible. And I would see how that would drive someone utterly and totally insane, to be honest with you.
Well, it's this BS economics about immigration in general. They're taking jobs away from people. And so you can't have immigrants, applying for a job without permission. But consider what the alternative for this guy is. And in fact, any asylum petition, you send him back to the Taliban-ruled Afghanistan after they know he's worked with the CIA. That is practically a death sentence. And so
what we need is immigration-sponsored super chat donations. What do you guys think? We need super chat donations in general. We welcome them from immigrants and non-immigrants alike. All right, are we going to move on?
Before we go on, before we go on, Bonnie Bertrand said Trump is Bonnie Bertrand says, I know, she's hitting back because guardsmen were attacked too close to home and because they shouldn't have been there, and he's scared and lashing out. And he is calling up 2,500 more guardsmen into the D.C. area as we speak in response to
Well,
this. So this
you
is
know what?
just like political hyperbole on crack.
But you know how they're going to respond. They're going to give you the classic utilitarian type answer. Well, the crime rate has dropped in D.C. How many murders has the murder rate dropped? So these two brave national, troopers gave their life to save all these other victims of crime for crimes that never happened. That's what they'll say. And they were kind of what Trump set them up for in D.C. was to be sort of shooting at ducks, because they really weren't engaged in active law enforcement. They can't under law. They're there for support roles, and they're the rules they're given when they go out onto the streets of DC are: you're not engaging in law enforcement, you're not arresting people, you're not so that what are they doing? Their presence, their support, they're sitting ducks. You're shooting in a duck gallery. So I have to agree with what Bonnie says in one sense, but you know what their answer is going to be? The murder rate's down in D.C. And these two brave National Guard troopers gave their lives to prevent those murders that would have otherwise happened.
Yeah, yes, we might also add that they're probably blaming whatever crime wave existed in D.C., which apparently was non-existent, on immigration. On immigration, which
it was non-existent.
It was non-existent, and it wasn't immigrants committing the non-existent crimes either, folks. But we needed the National Guard there anyway. I don't know. I'm starting to go conspiracy theory in this building up of an army force around the Capitol. Sort of freaks me out, to be honest with you. It bespeaks something further down the line. Not that Trump does think any further down the line than the next minute or so. But I'm starting to think there may be ulterior motives for having this army force there. Yeah, go ahead.
How many times do I have to say this? Cops are not soldiers. Cops are not soldiers. Different rules of engagement. All together. See, when I'm fighting a war overseas, we shouldn't give a crap about collateral damage. It's your country. You're the aggressor. We're not in control. We don't have jurisdiction over your country. We're not there to separate out the good guys from the bad guys. That's your problem. When it's here, it's our problem. And we do have to worry about collateral damage and civilian deaths and so forth. Cops are not soldiers. And we've had, it's more than a century-old law about not using military troops, for domestic law enforcement. That's federal law. And even conceptually, if Trump and Trumpsters don't get the idea behind that law, the moral principle behind that law, then we are heading down a dangerous path. I don't know if you caught that.
I got it all.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready? Can we go to the next story?
Yeah. I didn't catch it all, but that's yes. Go ahead, Michael.
Mark, we cannot cater to you today. With you, I didn't get it all. This is a big problem we have now.
You and I are coming in.
You're behind the times, Michael. I say go ahead. Go ahead and go to the new story.
We're not coming in and out of anything. We're coming in and out on his thing, not on everybody else's. It's because of what?
So it's all his fault.
Yes.
And my going blank there was his fault.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't see you go blank. You didn't go blank to me.
To me, you've been coming in and out, and I've been coming in and out visually.
Persephone, what's happening?
You know
is
what?
This problem?
Persephone, what I think is really going on here is Michael Liebowitz is causing all the problems.
That's a very distinct possibility.
It's not even Canadian internet. It's not James for sure. We know it's not James for sure.
We do have a storm coming. We have a storm coming over this way.
Yeah, the storm is in your head. So why don't we get to the next topic, Michael? Since you know. All right,
this hemp situation where the federal government now wants to mandate the amount of hemp that can be sold per container. They want to put it like very, very low. It's just so so stupid. Leave it to the government, states, local, wherever, and they just screw things up. See, I'm going to say something controversial to you two right now. This is where the anarchists have the strong argument, because these governments just never limit themselves, and the people don't limit them either. And they just keep looking for ways to screw you. As we're going to, we'll discuss it. No, this is where we're going to discuss it. Sorry. Oh, we'll discuss it afterwards in the physician-owned hospital stuff. They just can't mind their business and leave things alone. And the problem is that the people in the country, like by and large, like this crap.
If the government cannot be trusted, let me say there's a general principle here. Force users cannot be trusted. So even your private governments, Mr. Anarchist.
I agree with that.
It's people who wield that kind of force who've got to be hamstrung, whether it's by a constitution or in some other dramatic, clear, enforceable way. It's the force users, the people who officially use force. Individual criminals are one thing, but the real highlighters in history have been governments. And they're the ones who need to be tied up and bound and gagged and limited and actually. And so this it doesn't seem to be an argument for anarchy.
No,
it's an
not.
argument to limit the user of force.
Yes, that is correct. I said their criticism is correct, not their solution.
Okay, I'll go with you that far.
And the thing is, what we need is Mark Pellegrino.
Well, you didn't
on the front lines.
you didn't say that, Michael. You just said they were correct. You now.
And what did I say they were correct about?
You now have adjusted your argument.
Hold on, no, I didn't. What did I say they were correct about?
Handed your head to you.
Mark, simple question. What did I say they were correct about? Go ahead. I'm waiting.
Well, I don't remember, but you just said you didn't have the.
What, you don't remember, but you're telling me what the argument I made when you don't remember the argument I made?
You said this is where I agree with the anarchists on.
On what? What did I agree with them on?
Well, the fact that the government.
Are you confused? It's not a complex question, dude. I mean, it's pretty simple.
No, I just answered you.
I want the knife. You ever see that movie, Jim? I want the knife. That's what he sounds like. Mark, what do you think about this story with the?
You're taking advantage. You're taking advantage of the fact that I don't have a microphone, and you.
Here we go. Also, Jim, what did you just say, Jim, earlier about people blaming circumstances that they themselves have put themselves in? Right. This guy's a billionaire, flies around in private jets, and he doesn't have a good system.
Unbelievable. Hey, look. Now, James, why do you think the government is able to take so many liberties with products like this? Why do you think they are able to do this? Now, the people have come to expect that the government should regulate commerce, right? I mean, it's written in the Constitution that the Congress somehow has a regulatory position in the role of commerce, and this has been interpreted as I think different than its original meaning, but it's interpreted as now they can interfere with all kinds of exchanges, and people have become sort of inured to that concept. So what do you think?
Well, with the hemp case, the principle is you have to protect me from myself. We have to protect people from themselves and their own bad judgment. And if hemp can be misused, 1,000 legitimate uses for hemp will not protect it. So in other words, we've got to sacrifice all the benefits of the hemp as a product because of what? Those who might misuse hemp, mind you, just hemp. We're not talking about high grade, indica, bud, flower or something. We're talking about simple growing of hemp, which George Washington and Thomas Jefferson did. It can be used for 1,000 purposes: textiles, chemical products, various fibers, clothes. It's amazing.
Building materials, fire-resistant building.
Non-intoxicating CBD oil, which has all kinds of health benefits. For non.
See, I don't like that. I don't like this mode of argumentation. I really don't.
Well, I grant you that it shouldn't matter.
You know why I don't like it? How about this? You smoke marijuana more than 3 times in a week and it kills you, but you have to make that choice. Therefore, it shouldn't be outlawed. I don't give a damn about its health properties, its medicinal, whatever this, and how I can make a rope or clothing or anything else. What I care about is the government getting involved in this nonsense. It's not the goddamn.
Yes,
it's important to show, but it's important to show that all of those various benefits are what's lost because the government decides to focus on one thing that you see, and all that now it's the best.
Okay, so make concept. That, and now when they come and outlaw heroin, now what's your argument?
Exactly. If let's say it's outright poison. Let's say I'll go further. In fact, if you really want to make your point and stress it. I'm all there with you, Michael. Let's make the point. It's outright rat poison. And for some reason, kids love snorting poison that always puts them in the hospital or kills them. It still should be legal.
Yes.
It still should be legal. But it is, as Mark points out, important to observe that there are all kinds of secondary and tertiary consequences.
Oh, for the love of God, with this diplomacy crap. Did you do
It's
this
not
when you were a
diplomacy. It's
prosecutor?
diplomacy.
When you were a
It's just-
prosecutor,
It's just
it
Frederick
is. It's
Bastian,
yes.
my friend.
I
It's
was
just
No.
Bastian.
It's
I
Frederick
would down the
Bastiat. That's
whole-
Jim Valliant.
I would
No, but
with
it's the same argument. It's demonstrating what's unseen. It's all of the great innovations and all the great technology and all the great products that this particular thing
Yeah, that's
produces,
great.
while focusing on a singular aspect
Yes.
of it.
That's a great economic
granted,
argument.
the government has no moral space to be involved in at all, right?
And that's all we need. The
But
rest
it's-
we don't need right now.
but it's also
No, the
part
rest
of,
we do need. The rest we
No,
do
we
need.
don't.
it's part of the moral argument though as well. There is no theory practice dichotomy. It's not like I have these deontological
No.
values over here and these practical considerations over here.
No,
The
they
two are-
all go together. But
That's it.
but regardless of what you can make hemp out of, or make out of
That's
hemp,
true.
is
But
not
we're
relevant to whether it should be legal or not.
It is-
doesn't
it is
become more
improving- it is
reasonable to keep it
improving-
legal because of that.
It is often improving your case to people who'd like to focus on the singular non-benefits to show them all of the ancillary benefits they're missing. That is important to show
That's true.
them.
And then
I
when
think
they
it's
turn
important
around
to
and
know
say,
that.
okay, but what about fentanyl and crystal meth don't have those benefits? Let's ban those.
Right. No, like I say, if it's rat poison, it should be
Yeah.
available.
No, I'm not saying it's.
I'm gonna get it-
fundamental
I'm
to
gonna
the
get a
argument,
clip.
but it's an important component of the argument.
I'm gonna get a clip that's gonna say you have Jim Valliant touting the legalization of rat poison for children to indulge in.
Well, you know, if you do have like a mice problem and you go to Home Depot and you try to get, poisons these days, they are regulated. And even that stuff should not be. I know rat poison is used to murder people. Yeah. So are knives and chairs and guns and automobiles.
Yeah.
So it's just insane when we go down the
Antifreeze, all kinds of things.
when we go down the path of protecting people from themselves, then okay, there's no you can justify totalitarianism under that because
Yeah.
look, you and so it's true with any issue you separate out. Say socialized medicine, you have socialized medicine. Suddenly, whether you're working out is my business. Because I don't want you to cost me healthcare costs. So I want you to eat properly, Michael, and I want you to get exercise.
I exercised this morning, by the way, first time in 8 days.
Good.
Listen.
You discharged your duty to me as a
There
family.
is one, I'll tell you what, there is one totalitarian law that I would be in support of. Just one. We outlaw that mustache. I'm all for that.
Man, you're never going to let me hear the end of this mustache.
Should I? Would I be a friend? Would I be a friend if I didn't tell you about the stash? All right. What about this political volatility?
Luckily, you
article?
froze during almost 90% of what you said.
Did I really, Jim? No, just to Mark. Okay.
I caught it all.
You did for me.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. What are we looking for?
But I'll
Oh,
tell you
this.
what, this right
Oh,
now,
no.
this shield, this is actually a shield. So this is an anti-Liebowitz shield. So almost everything you say bounces off this mustache.
Dude, it sounds
Everything
like
you
it's
say
meant to
bounces
keep
off
me
this
from kissing
mustache.
you. Listen, I am not kissing you. Mustache or no
too.
mustache. Listen, what about
think
this
that's
behind the
that's-
curtain?
Bringing
That's
up things
all
like
before
Leibowitz, why do you keep bringing up things like that? You have some subconscious, there's this keeps coming up in your mind. So there's
Thank
some
you. Thank you.
No, I'm going to tell you
San
why.
Francisco, the first thing
I'm
he
gonna-
thinks about is bathhouses. And he
No,
asks
no,
me
I'm
about
going to
Bath-
tell you why.
bathhouses.
It's very logical.
I think he's
it's very
I
logical.
think he's curious.
Mark,
Don't be embarrassed, Michael. We
Mark
accept
has
you.
called
the
me.
objectivist community is very open-minded
That's fine.
about that.
Yes.
Hold on. Mark has identified me as his life partner.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to the con in Boston,
Now, wait a
they
minute.
gave me
I didn't
they
say
gave me a
life
thing.
partner.
They gave me a what are those things called that you wear? You
A
walk
lanyard.
around with them.
You-
A lanyard that said companion to Mark Pellegrino.
Companion.
Yeah. So I feel that it's incumbent upon me to make things clear when he's talking about how his mustache is a shield from me. Right. So let's just put that on there. Now can we get to Axios?
Yeah, let's get to Axios.
The volatility vortex. What this article was about, and this always fascinates me, is basically how the people vote people in. It says that there's 33% roughly that are diehard Republican, 33% that are diehard Democrat, and the 33% in the middle that gets fed up with whomever they vote into office. So then the next couple of years, they vote them out and vote the other people out. But what they don't seem to do is ever realize that they are the problem because they keep buying the bullshit. They want the bullshit. If they don't want the bullshit, the politicians don't try to sell it to them. Right? So what do you think? Mark, you go first this time.
Oh, now you want me to go first?
No, I really don't. I was trying to be fair.
I didn't hear it. I wasn't even listening to you the whole time.
All right, Jim, you go ahead. We can just zone him out. Let me mute him. Can I mute him somehow? Jim, go ahead.
What has happened in recent decades?
I can. Go ahead.
He has the power. Forgot. Anyway, the current context where normally midterms go poorly for the party in power has been the pattern. But that pattern is not universal. There is a break in it. For example, after 9/11, George W. Bush actually did very well with the Republicans in his midterm right after 9/11 and so forth. And more than that, when you look back into U.S. history, it is not necessarily the pattern. There are times when people say, no, I want the Democrat and I want a Democrat Congress, or no, I want the Republican and I want a Republican Congress. What we're living through is a particular cultural moment more than anything else. Rather than getting underneath this typical volatility cycle that we go through, president gets elected, then during the midterm, his party, suffers in the congressional elections and so forth, this ridiculous, pendulum swinging, which is awful there. But there's nothing inevitable about that pendulum swinging or about this pattern. It is the result of popular confusion. People do not know what they want. Like you say, there's about a third who are diehard R and third who are diehard D, and then a third who may not. And it's a variety within that third. Some don't give a crap and don't think it matters, and they don't vote. And then there's some people who will, with great volatility, swing from one end to the other. But let me suggest that is not the universal condition that needs to obtain in the United States. It hasn't obtained all the time in the United States. It can vary, and what it does reflect is a lack of consensus. Now, I'm not a big consensus guy. Ayn Rand hit the concept of consensus pretty hard. I am all for going out there and making your position. That's the only way you're going to change things. But the point is, there are fewer and fewer, put it this way, shared political values.
I'm gonna only partially agree with that. I think what people see on either side is they have allegiance to a particular kind of collectivism. They get the promises in the spoil system democracy that their guy is going to get in and win them the spoils of this particular spoil system democracy. They get in and don't do shit, and then everybody gets mad because they don't get what they want, or they find that the brand of collectivism that they've invested themselves in doesn't work. And so they try something else.
Observing is what's going on in those hardcore thirds. That is to say, people will elect Republicans, and then the Republicans will, those goddamn rhinos, they've sold us out. Or on the left, they'll say, Schumer, you see, he sold us out on the he opened the government again. And so
once they find out that their programs don't work, they find a scapegoat within the party to start harassing, and that causes fractionalism, of course. But right now we're in even a worse situation, James. I think right now, if the Democrats gain superiority in the Congress, which I presume they will, because Trump's popularity is plummeting, we know it's going to be more tribal warfare. We know it's going to be about impeachments. We know they're going to make it about the administration, that we're not going to move forward as a country. They're not going to deal with our fiscal crisis that we're in. They're They're not going to deal with freeing up the state anymore. They're just going to engage in more tribal warfare. And if you want to get out of that cycle, folks, you should go to AmericanCapitalistParty.org. You should donate. You should become a part of the change. You should also like and subscribe to the station. You should also share us across social media platforms, because this is the shit that needs to be said to everybody. We need
and give super chats.
In the
Look,
current,
where are the super chats? I don't see super chats this time around, Michael.
No, there's not. They're not into that today.
Not into that today. Come on, people.
Persephone is so pretty. If I should put Persephone up there, we'd probably get more super chats.
It's worth a try.
She's smiling so much now. She's giddy.
In America's current political context, it would, I think Axios put it correctly, it would be defying the current laws of gravity. Now, of course, it's human choices in the future. We can't predict. It's not like a law of physics. But the current atmosphere we're in, it would be defying the law of gravity for the Republicans to keep the House, at least, if it happens a year from now. And what does that mean? Paralysis. And generally, paralysis is better than one-party rule. So, but you'll notice how little Trump was able to get done. I mean, people say he got a lot done. Yeah, through executive orders and so forth. When it came, that's why they had to jam everything into that one big, beautiful bill with reconciliation. Because what? The Democrats are relying on that filibuster that they hate so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jenna, for contributing. We very much appreciate you. Yeah, but you know what, James, the Republicans hate it now too. When the filibuster was used against them, it's like both sides have the farsightedness of a gnat. They can't see beyond the next day. They don't understand that the expansions of power their enemy are using today are going to be the expansions of power their enemy uses against them tomorrow, and that's very dangerous. Thank you, like numbers 6129 for the $2. For the $2 super.
Now let's address his question. Well, you're the guy. You guys are the Israel guys. Don't you have something to say about this?
Well, I've been out of the news cycle for the last 3 days, so I don't know anything about this.
Okay, so Bibi evidently has actually asked the president of the country to pardon him in his corruption thing. I got to tell you, I am not a big fan of Bibi Netanyahu. That's yeah,
but how can the president pardon him for corruption that's taking place in another state, another country entirely? What corruption?
Not President Trump, the president of Israel.
Oh, he's actually the president. Okay, he's asked the president of Israel to pardon him for retiring. Okay. I don't know anything about it, but hopefully he doesn't get pardoned for that. If the corruption is real, he needs to be prosecuted.
I agree. I don't know how real it is. I just don't I don't have an abundance of evidence for this claim. I'm just telling you that from what I've seen of him, I don't like him. Like somebody could come forward and say, "Oh no, Mike, you're wrong. He's this, he's this, he's this, he's this," and I might say, "Oh, okay, I didn't know that." I just know that pushing the war in Iraq in America, pushing a war with Iran, and I get that you guys are on the Iran, hit the bomb Iran train. But the guy's been telling us about that Iran's 2 weeks from nuclear weapons since like 94. But the Mossad has been sabotaging them since 94. So thank you. Maybe so, thank you, Mossad, for doing that.
They're trying.
But he his playing ball with Hamas, I'm not really a fan of that either. There's just a lot of things that I don't dig about him. But again, I'm not in Israel. I don't follow the every move.
Yes, but in many respects, he was forced to play ball with Hamas. But the Bush administration pushed Hamas on him. They said, "Look, we believe in democracy."
Okay, so this is where I'm going to
democracy. Hold on a second. Not that he had to do it, my friend, but look. Democracy to the Bush administration, and everybody gets a say. It doesn't matter if you're an illegitimate party or a terrorist group. You get a say because the people's choice is what matters most.
You know what? Then
the people chose Hamas.
Back away from the trough. Then back away from the trough. Stop looking to America to bail you out. Handle your own business, and you won't have that.
I agree with you, and I think they've been after 75 years of looking to America, and America being, in my opinion, a very wishy-washy partner in the affairs of state with Israel. I think it's time for Israel to start going independent. I really do. I think they'll be better off. They won't have to rely on the whims of a guy like Trump, who has stopped them literally within weeks of completely incapacitating Iran as a
Whose
power.
ass, by the way, Bibi doesn't seem to remove his lips from.
Correct.
Look,
You're
Michael,
right.
Michael, in principle, military aid is, in my mind, different than just ordinary foreign aid for anything. Transgender theater in Guatemala, okay, is obviously different. I understand that it's coming from tax money, but so are the cops, so are the soldiers that are protecting us here. So it would confuse the issue in my mind. Morally speaking, does the government have a right to engage in military aid for civilized countries defending themselves from an aggressor, or much less multiple aggressors? In principle, yes. And there we may have a real difference.
Well, particularly,
we really don't.
James,
we really don't.
Particularly,
we don't have a agreement.
James, especially when those aggressors have intentions of aggressing upon us, and the front lines end up becoming Israel, which that's essentially.
Dude, Hamas is not coming here to aggress against us.
They haven't. Believe me, the Muslim Brotherhood has
jihadists. Yes, I don't listen. Jihadists. Yeah, listen.
That's what they are.
Yeah. Hamas did not get started because they have an opposition to the United States. They have an opposition to Israel. Their opposition to Israel is wrong.
No, but their hatred of and all of that crap talk after 9/11. If it wasn't for our support of Israel, we wouldn't have got bull.
That's bull. That's BS. I don't.
Okay,
I'm not.
Thank you. So
what are you thanking me for? That's not my position.
But if Israel weren't there, they would hate us and be coming after us. Iran says death to America, just as they say death to Israel, and their goal is against all of Western civilization. And as Mark points out, they're not just a threat to Israel. They're just even planning, just even putting on the board the idea that we want nuclear weapons. And they're an aggressor like that who funds Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, you name it. For them to even be saying, "Well, I want a nuclear."
What does that have to do?
It makes
with
them
giving billions of dollars to Israel every year.
It makes helping Israel, who is at the front line of this battle, not us. Without Israel, they'd be coming after Europe and America.
Oh, come on.
Which is indeed what is happening now, Michael.
They want to come after us anyway. You just said it. They attacked us not because of Israel, but they attacked us anyway.
So in fact, we are investing in keeping them further.
This is going to make me go. My head is going to explode.
I don't think.
And
it's
here's the thing.
Even though I disagree overall with aid to other countries.
But when Israel, it's good.
I think Michael's causing the internet volatility.
No, that's your volatility. Look, here's the thing. I get it. If there was if we were a properly organized country in America, right? A free country, and there were other free countries out there being attacked, I would say all for it, go help them. But that's not what we have here. Israel, they're civilized. Yeah. When we compare them to barbarians. But the bottom line is they're a semi-socialist country. They've got conscription. They're not this beacon of freedom in Israel. They're just not. That's my point.
Relative to the Middle East, they certainly are.
So that's what we're going to be doing. It's all relative.
Yo, Mike.
But relative to the.
You quoted.
We do need the context.
Yeah, you quoted me the other day quoting Robert Hessen, and I would ask you to bear that in mind. Compared to what?
Listen. I have supported Israel. I have no problem saying that Israel is vastly morally superior to the people around them. I have no problem with that. That doesn't equate to Israel is a free country.
No,
or we need to support all free countries.
But by the standards of most democracies that are out there in the world today, they rank
for the love of everything holy.
They are not free in the sense that we want them to be free, nor is the United States of America, nor is any European country free.
So if the whole world is totalitarian, but then there's one country that's just not as totalitarian, we say we need to support them because you're supporting bad philosophy, you're supporting bad leadership. You're ripping off Americans to do it. Come on.
Okay.
Again.
Americans do it applies to everything, Michael, including the cops. So
no, it does not. It does not apply. They are ripping us off for everything. But the cops are here. They actually protect us. I'm not mischaracterizing Israel at all. Israel is a semi-socialist country founded on partially religious grounds. That's a fact. That's not my
wrong,
opinion.
Hold on. Wrong. You don't know. Do you know who Theodore Herzl was?
No, I've never heard of the founder of Zionism.
Okay, was he
Mark.
secular?
I've never heard of him. I'm sorry.
Was
no.
he a secularist or a religious Jew? Was he a secular?
Was he a secularist?
Was he
yes.
secular or religious?
Yeah. Does that mean there are Jews
Zionism
who don't
principally
argue
a
that they're
secular-
entitled to the land because of God?
The argument from Theodore, no, that is certainly an argument from a certain sect of Zionists, but it is certainly
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said partially.
But no,
Mark.
No. You said you said it was founded on.
I said it was partially
entirely socialist. First of all,
I never said that.
Socialist country, Michael. It
Mark,
is not.
I did not say that. I never said that. Not one time. I said it's partially socialist and it was partially founded on religion.
So are we.
And to those extent, we suck. And I wouldn't want to fund these guys either if I had a choice.
Yes, but we still have to deal with the context as it exists right now and moving the needle in our direction.
If the fire, Liebowitz, if the fire of civilization and freedom was going down to just little embers that were going out, I would blow on those embers. You're damn right. And there's a qualitative difference between Israel and Iran.
Who said there's not?
And a difference that makes a difference in this context.
Who said there's? Listen,
And
I'm all for that.
You said if there was one, you
oh my fucking God!
All those
if you're going to defend things, if you're going to defend truth, you don't do it by. You have to recognize the entire context, and that means identifying all the actors and what they're involved in. The fact of the matter is, Israel still has conscription. They still have socialist elements in their country. They still have deeply religious elements in their country. But
and we can still support them based on what they are fighting and for what reasons they are fighting them.
Listen, but don't say you're supporting them because they're a free country, because they're not.
I am supporting them because they are a basically free country that has.
They're not basically a free country.
They have courts of law. They have courts of law that have power over the army.
Listen, if you were the one conscripted, hold on. If you were the one conscripted, how free would you say you were, Mark? If you were the one conscripted,
I can opt out of the conscription.
No, if you were in Israel,
I can opt out of conscription.
Based on what?
In Israel.
Based on what?
You're
an Orthodox Jew?
He's Orthodox.
Are you an Orthodox Jew?
That's one. That's one.
So that's what. So, okay, but I thought it wasn't based at all on religion, but they give exemptions to Orthodox.
They do, and there is a religious element.
I didn't say it wasn't based at all on religion. I say there are certainly aspects of Zionism that are steeped in Orthodox Judaism.
No, this is what I'm talking about.
Those are the
intellectual
elements.
Confusion.
Those are the toxic elements.
I want to calm everybody down for a second. I want to calm everybody down, and I'm going to put this question straight for Jim Valliant. We have a rhetorical question. It seems to me rhetorical. If I'm wrong, correct me. This guy says, were we not a free country in the late 60s because of the draft? You're goddamn right we weren't a free country in the late 60s.
We were also the most moral country on the earth in the 1960s.
Agree.
Simultaneously.
Agree. But that's the point, is you have to recognize all factors. That's my only point.
None of us are losing the nuance here except you, Michael.
You denied outright that Israel was partially founded on religion and socialism.
No, I did not.
And yes, you did. And then you accused me of saying they were entirely religious and socialist.
It was founded in secularism. It was definitely founded in socialistic secularism, but it was not
and partially on religion.
State.
So why did they pick Israel? Why did they pick Israel? If religion had nothing to do with it, why pick Israel?
Because
we're talking about Jews who are both secular and
religious.
Who are seen as not
were
simply
slaughtered by Christians.
Yes. Hold on. They didn't pick Madagascar.
No.
They picked Israel. Why?
They had a number of places to choose from, and they chose the place of their ancestral homeland.
Hold on a second. You referenced Theodore Herzl. Hold on a second. Theodore Herzl was writing in the 1890s about Zionism.
Long before there was Israel. And
long before there was the millions of Jews slaughtered.
Okay, but there were always Jews there, and long before there was an Israel,
there was also
property.
There was also pogroms in Russia. There was tons of evidence that Jews, whether assimilated or not,
you asked me a question.
Oh yeah, Jim, answer the question.
Yeah, there's freedom of speech in Israel. There isn't in Iran. There's freedom of religion in Israel. There isn't in Iran. Women have rights in Israel. They don't in Iran.
Yeah.
Okay. Gays are hung by chains. Women get slaughtered in prisons because they show some hair through the hijab in Iran. In Israel, it is qualitatively different.
Nobody denied that.
Okay.
I'm talking.
That's
We're
an
talking.
important thing to preserve. What little we have of freedom, because it's not perfect, we say to ourselves, okay, that's it. Let Israel die. No, that's not how you defend liberty, Liebowitz.
They're not liberty. They're not a free country.
These guys are qualitatively better than these guys.
They're better.
We're going to defend
So
what? In the process.
They're better. So okay. So Israel's better than. So Israel's better than Iran. So that justifies initiating force against American citizens to fund Israel.
So let freedom of speech in the area die completely. Is that your argument?
Those are my two alternatives.
Yeah.
Hold on. So as an American citizen, am I not free to donate money to Israel if I want?
Oh yeah.
Are you not free? Is Johnny Moneybags over here not free?
Who's Johnny Moneybags?
You're Johnny Moneybags.
I am not Johnny Moneybags. Man.
You're Johnny Moneybags.
No. But Subby thinks that James and I teamed up beforehand.
Of course you do.
Before the show, so that we could get under your skin.
Persephone is giving us money to calm down. Persephone, unfortunately, we're not going to listen to you. Because aside from us all being very passionate,
but it began with a question about.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are all passionate people, and plus it drives viewership to have us yelling at each other.
That may be true. But, it all began with an innocent question about pardoning Mr. Netanyahu for the corruption charges. Now, wait a minute here. You have to ask the legal question, is he guilty? And if he's guilty, does it really matter? That is to say, why would you pardon him? Okay, it's a delicate time with the negotiations. That's not good enough in my mind to overcome a criminal conviction. And I understand under Israeli law, and this would morally hold true, at least in America. Look, if the criminal doesn't admit his crime, why the hell should we give him a pardon?
Exactly. Good point. This is where Jim is coming up with good points.
Christopher Smith. Wait. Jennifer says this is a good time for disclaimers. That's right. I forgot to say this disclaimer at the very beginning, folks. What we say here is not affiliated with the American Capitalist Party. If you want to know what the policies of the American Capitalist Party are, please go to AmericanCapitalistParty.org. We're just three dudes who believe in liberty, talking about stuff from our own particular perspectives. And as you see, there is variance between me and Jim and Michael, as there usually is.
I think we've got an evolution of the mustache, if you pay attention to the screen, from the bottom to the top, going clockwise. Jim with no mustache, me with a normal human mustache, and then Mark with that insanity on his upper lip.
Okay, normal.
Robert.
Robert says perhaps you should take
I was just gonna get to Robert. Robert Naser.
Okay, go ahead.
Robert Naser says perhaps each of you should take a moment without interruptions to say what essentially free means to you in the context of U.S. support. Okay, Mark, you go first.
No. Let James.
What? Why, Jim?
Because my thing keeps cutting out, and I don't want to fuck things up and get
your thing, huh? All right, we're gonna go Jim, and we're gonna go counterclockwise.
I think that when a country recognizes individual rights, and this is the thing: Israel does not completely nor perfectly recognize or enforce individual rights, but they do, to a significant extent, defend certain individual rights. When you're in a sea of authoritarians and theocrats, that is an island of civilization that needs to be defended. If it doesn't, the barbarians come to our gates. So it seems to me that if they are like Iran, a regional threat and potentially a worldwide threat, and if we see the embers, I mean, you can say it's not a blazing fire of liberty there. No, but even if I say it's a modest campfire. But even if it were just like the embers of basic rights that we were protecting against totalitarians swarming in on them, we should be blowing as hard as we can to get those embers, first, to survive, and two, to come back into flame. It's a compared to what? Going back to Professor Hessen's point. It's compared to what? Now, I can go back 1,000 years and I can take sides in various disputes in human history. And
back when you and Mark were kids?
And none of them are going to involve a perfect society, Michael. but I can say, no, this is the relatively free society. These are the aggressors and the relatively authoritarian ones. And each time through the course of the last 10,000 years, I will tell you, I'm going to take the side of the relatively free over the relatively authoritarian when they're the aggressors. That's that.
You want to go, Mark, or you want me to go?
You can go. I want to go after you.
Okay. I think that's kind of lazy, but okay. So I pretty much agree with Jim on much of that. What I don't agree with is that the government of the United States has the right to tax its citizens to then send that money and send those weapons to Israel. Now, it's true. I also don't think they have the right to do it to fund police officers. The problem is the police officers are actually here protecting us. It is a stretch to argue that by supporting Israel. Now, let me just say this. If it was a situation where the United States was a paradigmatic free country and we were going to support countries and push them towards liberty, that would be a different dynamic than what we have now. Americans are frequently criticizing the welfare states of Europe, of which Israel is not much different. So why can't we then criticize Israel? I don't see the problem with it. If you want to, my turn. We should not have military bases in Europe. But here's the point: is that even if you're going to argue we should support Israel, then make the argument as Jim is making it. I don't have a problem with that. If you identify the flaws, you say these are the flaws, these are our flaws, these are the flaws of everybody else, and then you make a cost-benefit assessment within that based on principle. Okay, I disagree with it, but when we just say we got to support Israel because they're the rights-respecting country, no, they're not. That's palpably false. So when Robert asks essentially free, essentially means in terms of fundamentals, in terms of core, which means that any deviations from that contradict it would be just that, contradictions. They aren't on par with its nature. Like if you look at the fundamentals of what America was found on, we were found on liberty, on individual rights. The deviations are just that. Those are contradictions.
I'm sorry, Winston Churchill. We can't help you in your war with the Nazis because you have confiscatory taxation in Great Britain.
Well, first of all, Hitler wasn't just going after Winston Churchill. Secondly, again, identify whom it is.
Right?
But I don't even have a problem with the point, but be honest about the point.
Right.
That's
Michael, you missed the Morris. You missed the forest for the trees.
We started off
essentially.
I will take this whole thing back to you. I remember the entire conversation.
First of all, I have never said that Israel is beyond criticism, nor have I said that they are entirely free. I have always said that they are free, and implied in every statement that I make about Israel is within the context of every state that surrounds
This is probably false.
We ourselves are not entirely free. But what makes us essentially free are our founding principles.
We're not essentially free in America. We're not essentially free.
Which is what makes us able to judge our current actions based on the principles that we've set up as ideals for ourselves. Israel likewise has many sets of principles that are.
I want to debate Christopher
democratic
Smith.
in nature.
That's what I want.
That are in fact democratic in nature. That promote tolerance and a pluralistic society, a separation of powers, and an individual's participation in the political process, freedom of dissent, freedom of the press. Some of the pillars of freedom that we hold dear here in America that should remain so are also the very same pillars that are represented in Israel and that are represented in no other Arab or Muslim country in the world. Okay. So since I want to make two comments. Many of those countries are infested with Islamicists.
Yeah. First, Mark interrupted me.
Who hold a worldwide caliphate as an ideal and are actually working towards that aim right now. I consider Israel our closest ally in respect to governments there in that region, in respect to governing principles there, with some terrible contradictions, as we have in our own country, as there are worldwide in every other country, as our closest ally in a fight against a real Islamicist invasion around the world. These people do not want to stop at just eliminating Israel. They've already colonized 55 countries, and they are planning on doing more. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is happening. This is happening with demographic changes in Italy, in France, in England. You see the hostility towards the West spreading in enclaves like Dearborn, Michigan. It is happening today. And to fend it off in the Middle East, 8,000 miles away, seems preferable to doing it in my front yard. Thank you very much.
And by the way, that was the same argument they used to going into Iraq. That was the same argument used to justify staying in Afghanistan for 20 years. The same thing you just said was, we'll fight them there and we won't have to fight them here.
Oh, that is a great.
It's true.
If we had
switch, baby.
It's true. Look. If we had the same attitude we did about war during World War II, we're actually going to fight a war. We're actually going to win the war. We wouldn't have this bullshit.
But we don't.
So the context of Iraq and Afghanistan was a world of altruist, hand tied behind our back.
And how has it changed since then?
Okay.
Hey, Robert has a super chat. You got to throw it up there.
We got a million super chats that we have to throw up. Jenna said it's Mark's turn. Well, Jenna, first of all, Mark interrupted me while I was still using my turn. That's the first thing. So we're going to go back there. Robert Marabin's philosophy at work says, I don't understand why women carry a baby for 9 months. It would make more sense if it was gestate. Okay, I'm okay with that. Robert says, are there any free countries by the standard Michael regards as applicable for monetary support to military allies and our own military interest? Let me put it this way. This is a simple question. Are there
yes or no, Michael? Yes
are there any free countries? He asked me a question. Are there any free countries by the standard that Michael puts forward? I will flip this around. I'm an objectivist. So I will ask anybody out there, do you think there's any free countries by the standard that Ayn Rand would have put out there? That's why it's called capitalism, the unknown ideal.
That's right. It's an unknown ideal.
Yes.
So people get their heads straight. We won't get a perfect.
Yes, I agree with you.
Until that point, we fight for every scrap of liberty still on the table.
Okay. And there's ways that you can fight for liberty that don't entail taking taxpayer money and giving it to other countries. And so Robert says to me, applicable for monetary support to military allies and our own military interest. If we would, I mean, obviously this discussion is based on druthers, right? On what I would rather have. Or druther have, right? If America cut spending on all kinds of garbage that they spend it on, if they stopped funding allies all across the world, including, by the way, Muslim countries that we've already mentioned, like Saudi Arabia, for instance, who we give a ton of money to, Egypt, who we give money to.
Those are two of the big ones.
Yeah. Right.
Japan,
so
South
if
Korea,
we would do that and just focus our money on defending us.
What the hell that Israel gets all the focus on it for our military aid to Israel? Just do.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree.
No one points out all the fighter jets we're giving to Saudi Arabia and Japan.
Whoa. What do you mean no one? What do you mean no one? I've pointed this out 1,000 times.
Okay.
If you add up, I don't know if it's still the case, but if you add up the money that the U.S. government gives to Arab countries, it's more than what they give to Israel. But we're happy to be talking about Israel. I'm opposed to giving Ukraine money. I'm opposed to giving Israel money, Mexico money, Mark money, whoever wants money. But so, I mean, I don't think we should be giving it to anybody. So, but this is, Dave's not here, man. Essentially free means free in terms of fundamentals. So Christopher Smith says they're a free country if you study history. Christopher Smith, no, they're not. And your idea of studying history, so what? Then everything's just relative, comparatively so. Well, then let's not advocate for any more freedoms, because historically speaking, we're free too.
There is a context, Mike, that you're ignoring. There's just context.
I'm not ignoring any context. You can't just throw out objectivist bromide and think you win an argument. No, I'm not.
Nobody's throwing out a bromide.
Position,
It is a bromide. Context. Like you think I don't know what context is?
Is Israel freer than?
And I answered yes 30 times. I
Israel freer than
30
Jordan?
times.
Is Israel freer than Syria? Is
Again.
Israel freer than Iraq?
So,
is it freer than
I
Iran?
answered it 30 times. It doesn't matter. I can answer it 1,000 times.
You know what?
They're freer than. They're not free.
You know when Apollo 11 took off in 1969, when Apollo 11 took off, Ayn Rand said, "Okay, is this funded by government, and should government do this sort of thing?" No. But you know something? I'm thrilled as crap that this happened. Yay for human achievement in the human mind. People like Eric Severide at the time, the CBS commentator, said, with all the poverty in this world, we ought not to be spending money on the space program. And Ayn Rand said, a flag planted on the moon. If that's the only thing that my tax dollars got, I would prefer that over giving it to any kind of naked savage somewhere in the world.
And I agree.
Okay.
I don't disagree.
Okay, good.
But look at this, but I want you, Jim. I want you to address this.
My moral values are not limited to my political theory. That is to say, I have a broader perspective on values than the current. It's like I said, I can tell the difference between Great Britain and Adolf Hitler during World War II.
Yes.
And I can tell the difference between Israel and Iran right now.
Who said you can't?
Okay. Absolutely.
And if that difference is meaningful, we go to bat for that difference.
Okay. So then what we're saying then is that because there's that difference, we can justify taking the money from American people and giving it to another country. That's where I differ. But I got a question, Jim, for Jim.
You're right.
It's not just a justification of the difference.
So
Jim, I want you.
Please. So every time there's a murder case, I bring up taxation because, in this murder case, the first thing I need to say in any murder case is, the police
hold on
their money from taxes.
You really don't see the difference between trying murderers in the United States and sending weapons overseas to other governments? You really don't see the difference.
Are the protection of
Americans. Hold on. When Ayn Rand says what you just said, I would rather my money go to this. She's differentiating between things that are worthy of American money going to and things that are not worthy of them going to. Right or wrong?
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. So what we're saying, what I am saying is that one, I oppose taxation first. Secondly, we have taxation. So given that we have taxation and given the disaster that would be if we just put an end to it today, we then have to discuss, how does the tax money get allocated? There's a vast difference between allocating tax money to prosecutors and police here at home and sending them to another country. But this is my question for you, Jim. This guy here, I Like Numbers, gives a super chat that I want to address, and then we got to go. He says, we're 7 minutes over. He says, Rand saw 19th century U.S. as free, Isreal too. And he claims that this was on Donahue. I've read Ayn Rand talking on Ford Hall Forum. I've heard her say that that's the closest we came. But Ayn Rand never said the United States in the 19th century was a free country or that Israel was a free country. You have to show me that.
Well, I can see the magnificent results of American freedom, and I can see even the magnificent results of the comparative freedom that Israel has. And so if if I buy technology that was developed in Israel, you think I'm going to be buying technology that was developed in Iran anytime soon?
No, but that's not my question. My question is about the 19th century.
But it gets down to the real moral issue, the real life.
To the two moral relativists that I'm dealing with?
Well, if you call
neither of us are moral relativists, Michael.
If you call the difference between having free speech, at least some free speech in prison, and none, a little quibble, then you and I have a
Listen, Jim, I'd say having some is better than none. That still doesn't stop you from being able to say that 19th century America was not a free country.
Of course, they had slavery. We had all kinds of problems.
Okay, so then what are you even disagreeing with me about? This guy says Rand saw 19th century U.S. as free. That's not true.
Well, she was talking, what she was mainly talking about was with respect to commerce, with respect to the Industrial Revolution. She obviously understood that the institution of slavery was a major blot in American history.
It was more than just that.
Look, in the human development, we have a radical theory, Michael, one that the world has not come close to accepting. And we're the ones who have to understand that we have the burden to convince people of our position.
Yes.
We are fighting, for scraps, like I say. So when you're in that kind of a context, the compared to is all the difference in the world. I don't blame people in medieval Europe for being Christians. I don't blame people in ancient Egypt for, worshiping their pharaohs. We judge the context in the context, and we should do that now too.
Okay. We've got a philosophy. Of course, Jim, but I'm not, listen, in order to judge anybody.
For what you didn't know before you knew it makes no sense.
Well, first of all, to say that the people nowadays don't know what freedom is, that's not true. There's plenty of it out there. It's not like it was in the Middle Ages.
No, but it's still.
But here's the point. We got a question coming from Philosophy at Work, but I want to get to that in a second.
I just want to say that Philosophy at Work is just trying to calm us down now. The last two.
No, he's having fun and he's giving money, so we're going to be giving what he wants.
He's trying to calm you down, Mike.
Yeah, but Jim,
okay.
In order to judge anything, right? Let me throw it to you this way. In order for there to be gray, you have to be able to identify black and white.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay. Correct. So when we identify an ideal that we have, like capitalism, the unknown ideal, we judge things according to that. The closer they get to that, the better. The further away, the worse. Right?
Yeah.
Now,
correct.
Once we do that, once we effectively identify given parties, then we can assess whether it's okay or not, whether we should be funding them or not, what's the cost benefit analysis. But you first have to identify the principle.
Ayn Rand did not like the draft. She did not like the Vietnam War. She thought it was an altruistic endeavor. And she still denounced the creeps like Jane Fonda for praising.
She criticized everybody because she had standards.
Yeah, but you see, her position was not so intrinsicist, if I can use the technical term, that she would be able to say, well, that doesn't turn the Viet Cong into the good guys. Murray Rothbard, I heard him, I read it. He argued that the Viet Cong were like George Washington. Now, if you go to that extent, if you go full Dave Smith on Isreal, okay, you're just an asshole. Okay?
They're committing the opposite error.
And well, no, they're really the same in a sense, ignoring the reality on the ground, the liberty that does exist in favor of some theoretical abstraction that let's hope exists one day, is wrong. That's pure rationalism and
well, it is, but they've also misidentified the theoretical.
Michael, before we go on, because we're so far over, Philosophy Work wants to be for picking up on what he was putting down. You didn't read the philosophical question there because I thought it did lighten up the atmosphere a little bit, and I thought it would be great to have Jim read it because Jim, I think
Jim, read the super chat, Jim.
I'm not wearing my glasses. I'm going to need.
I'll read it then. I have a philosophy question for Jim. I think, therefore, I am. Isn't that putting Descartes before the horse? I love that. That's a great one. Thank you, Philosophy at Work.
Thank you.
We have been arguing with each other, and essentially, Michael's ended up agreeing with both James and I in the end, proving.
No, I agree with James more than I agree with you. You are philosophically incoherent and misrepresenting what I said. No, you're parroting. You're trying to.
That James was saying.
That's not what you started with.
No, not parroting. I'm just saying the same things. Anyway, Michael, why don't you since you are the pure capitalist?
Jim is giving the capitalist thought of the day. I'll do it.
Every time I come on, I do the capitalist thought of the day. This is.
You don't think that's fair? That's like your payment for us allowing you on the show.
Oh, well, okay. No. I think that
I want to give.
Lord.
Yes.
Hey, look, I want to go on the record right now as saying I don't believe that. I believe that you, James, pay us by your presence here. We profit from your presence here.
Thank
you. It's not the other way around.
Oh my God! If I ever turn into such an ass kisser, shoot me.
You're a ball buster.
If I ever kiss ass like this, just kill me. I don't want to live anymore.
That's not
the capitalist thought of the day.
Justice and integrity.
All right,
and I thank you for that.
Yes, Jim is wonderful. He doesn't need to get an attaboy every second of his life.
Well,
okay. So the capitalist thought of the day is going to have to do with capitalism as the unknown ideal. And while it is true that system-wide or country-wide, we've never had pure capitalism, there have been capitalist interactions amongst people. And what I mean by that is free trade amongst individuals, whether it be working under the table or whether it be voluntarily trading something for something else, or just accepting a super chat type of deal, although we are taxed to the hilt probably over here. The point is that Ayn Rand did not have a floating abstraction when she identified capitalism. She identified something that actually existed in small amounts in different pockets amongst different people. And then what she did was extrapolated from that, and combining with the principles of ethics, she had a vision for a society. Unless we identify what that ideal is, which is no initiations of force, that's what we have to fight for. That does not mean that we don't appreciate the freedom that we've won or the freedom that we have now. It doesn't mean that we can't praise other countries for their relative freedom. My position only is that we have to identify what is in order to get where we want to go. That means neither exalting countries as beacons of freedom who aren't, or saying because they aren't pure beacons of freedom, they're therefore just as totalitarian as any dictatorship, because that they are not. This is what we need to fight for: freedom.
Hear, hear.
Amen to that. So who's going to ask the question?
My question is this: will Christopher Smith, because he keeps trying to take shots at me, Christopher, will you debate me, Chris? You said that I don't know my history, and now you're questioning my claim about pockets of capitalism and implying that the U.S. was indeed capitalism. Maybe you'd like to pony on up. We'll put you on the air here, and we can assess my knowledge of history, philosophy, my ability to derive abstractions from concretes and go backwards. We can do it all, brother. I love you. You're great. You're here every day. That's not actually the question. You give the question today. One of you.
All right. So the question of the day is, do you think it is appropriate for the United States to give military aid to countries that are freer than the ones they are fighting? Do you think that helps us? Is that in our national self-interest to keep enemies at bay who have imperialistic intentions with respect to the rest of the world? Yes or no? Of course, I am saying this as an individual capitalist, not as a representative of the American Capitalist Party. For that, you should go to AmericanCapitalistParty.org, donate, and become a part of the change, folks. Tomorrow, we will be here at the same bat time, same bat place, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be working on a show called Vot Rising, for which I have grown this mustache. So I will not be here, but I am sure you will be entertained by the great Michael Liebowitz. Maybe even James Valliant will be here as a perfect counterweight to the irrationalism of Mr. Liebowitz. And you will have a very entertaining.
Okay. Christopher Smith, you're not taking shots. Continue to speak your mind. We absolutely love you. It's great. All right, Mark. Yeah, now I had to get that in because you weren't stopping.
Yeah, yes. Well, I had to give my spiel. Yeah, Christopher, stay.
I'm so happy I discovered the mute button.
I like. Yes, I'm enjoying it too. Like numbers, we love you. I love the fact that you're here. We love needling Michael. You got to give him one every once in a while. Anyway, folks, we'll see you here tomorrow. You've got 23 hours to check your premises. Most of you seem to have the right ones.
Please do so.
But those of you who don't, recheck them, man, and then come back here and spread capitalism throughout the world, throughout your own little world, where however much you can in this next 23 hours. Until then, peace.
And we gave him